Hi everybody, it's Matt McCoy from RCVRY Life and it's time for another vlog. Today I want to talk about the term alcoholic, and I've written a blog post about this, you can see it on the site. But I felt it was another subject which I just wanted to kind of talk about and kind of air my opinion on a bit more. Before I do, let me be really clear about something. I have no problem at all with being called an alcoholic. I'm proud, actually. I often say that. I'm proud to be an alcoholic. I'm proud to be an alcoholic in recovery, especially. The reason I'm proud is I think having gone to the depths of addiction and been to the dark place that alcoholism has taken me, and then being able to have found recovery and sustained recovery, I can see and I know that I'm a much better person than I was. And I think really the honest truth is I'm an even better person now than I would have been if I had never suffered from alcoholism. That's probably the truth, because having gone through that recovery process, gone through the 12 steps, done the recovery program myself, I've kind of probably gone deeper and looked at myself and looked at where I need to be better in life than I would have ever have done before. So I'm also proud of the fact that I've overcome something quite substantial. So I know, and if you suffer from addiction, you'll know that no one chooses to be an addict. No one chooses to be an alcoholic, a drug addict, whatever your addiction may be. You don't choose to be that person. So when you overcome that addiction and you find recovery and you sustain recovery, it's actually a massive achievement. And anyone that's doing that, you should feel really good about yourself, okay? You should give yourself a massive pat on the back. And then this does bring me to where my issue with the term alcoholic is. I think in the UK especially, the perception of somebody that says, okay, I'm an alcoholic, or even as I do, I'm an alcoholic in recovery, people's perception changes immediately of you as a person. And in my own experience, they kind of see you as broken. They see you as someone, it's akin to if you say you've got a mental health issue, or if you suffer from depression or anxiety, all of a sudden the way that they are around you and the way that they talk to you and just their overall manner with you changes, sometimes subtly, sometimes not so subtly. And it shouldn't be that way. I recently went on a trip to America. It was a holiday, and I noticed there that people's attitude towards alcoholism, addiction, and people in recovery, and in fact recovery in general especially, is so different. They have a National Recovery Month there that they celebrate, and it's no bad thing to put your hand up and say, hey, actually, I'm suffering from this thing, and I'm quite deliberately seeking help. I'm quite deliberately trying to overcome it. And I remember when I was in early recovery, one of the things that really stuck with me is I read somewhere on one of the kind of websites, I think it was The Mix, that actually there are firms on Wall Street that prefer to give jobs to people that have gone through a 12-step program, because it shows that they've got the fortitude, shows that they've got the willpower, shows that they've got the ability to overcome obstacles and do it on a consistent basis. And anyone that suffers from addiction knows that it is a consistent battle, it is a consistent war. You're always looking out for the triggers, you're always making sure that you're keeping clean and sober, and it's not easy, even for myself years into it. I can't get complacent, never get complacent, because that's when things can go wrong. In the UK, it's different though. I think that if I went to an employer and said, here's my CV, here's what I can do, here's my skill set, I think I'm a great match for the job. Oh, and by the way, I'm an alcoholic in recovery, I don't think it would go for me. I think it would really go against me. And I think that if somebody else had the same set of attributes as me and they said, you know what, I'm not an alcoholic, I'm not an addict, that they would probably get the job. So I think that people's perception in, maybe not just the UK, but my experiences in the UK, people's perception of somebody that's an alcoholic is wrong, or the way that they view it. I think that kind of tagged onto that is the fact that there's still this thing that people choose to be an alcoholic. Okay, he says he's an alcoholic, why doesn't he just not pick up that drink? Why does he drink so much? Why does he have to drink till he gets so drunk? It's a disease. It's as simple as that. It's a medical disease. I could talk in depth about how I think that addiction really occurs, and the physiological effects and the way that it kind of hardwires into your brain. But the point is, no one wakes up and says, actually, I think what I really fancy doing is becoming addicted to a substance to the point that it absolutely ruins my life. No one does that. And I think I tweeted a news article recently. I think it was an MP had come out and said, okay, why should we spend money on treating addiction, because these people don't deserve it? And it's just so wrong. It's just so wrong. We don't choose to suffer from this disease. It's debilitating. It can take you to a very, very dark place. It can take you to the lowest level. Certainly for me, it's the lowest level I've ever been in my life. And it's really hard to kind of dig out of it. Okay, I truly believe that unless you are an addict, you can't understand addiction. It's one of the drives for me, one of the motivations for me to do what I do, which is help other people find recovery and sustain recovery. And it's really what the RCVRY Life program is all about. I think my last point on the term alcoholic is it feels like there's no scale to it. It feels like you either are an alcoholic or you're not an alcoholic, and there's no middle ground. And again, that's just not true. If you're somebody that enjoys to drink every single day of the week, but you nothing suffers as a consequence, particularly in the early days of doing that, you'll probably never be viewed as an alcoholic. If you are laid on a park bench every night drinking out of a brown paper bag, people say, oh, look, there's an alcoholic. And the truth of the matter is, I look around my everyday life even now, and I can spot it a mile off people that, to all intents and purposes, just enjoy a nice drink, but actually they're suffering. They're suffering from addiction. And because they're not classed as an alcoholic, they're not made to feel like they need to seek help. Their addiction is normalised in the eyes of society, and so it goes kind of undiagnosed. Even though there's not an official diagnosis for alcoholism, it kind of goes undiagnosed. And I know my own personal experience actually, that it took my partner. She kind of turned to me one day and said, "Do you think you might need to go to rehab? And this is a problem." And that was really my diagnosis of the fact that I was an alcoholic. Before that, of course, it wasn't diagnosed, because what service is there to diagnose you're an alcoholic? There is none. And so going back to this sliding scale, I think that part of what I notice are the people that come to me for help. They're quite often people that are saying, do I drink too much? I'm not sure. Is the fact that I have to have a glass of wine and that turns into a bottle of wine most nights of the week, is that a problem? Is it a problem that I used to drink one glass here and now it's grown to a bottle, and actually I open a second bottle? I'm starting to feel maybe I've got a problem. But is it? And the fact that they're asking the question means that probably deep down they know it's an issue, but they're not diagnosed as an alcoholic. There's nothing anywhere really where you can go and it says, okay, this behaviour indicates that you might have an addiction problem. Now, my other bugbear is you can go to websites, or you see them in newspapers and magazines periodically, especially around January, tests you can do that say, answer these questions, and if you score a certain number, maybe you've got a problem with alcohol, and you can phone this phone number and get help. Now, I'm all for anything that helps people. Of course I am. The danger with those tests are, it makes it black and white again. If you reach a certain score, you're an alcoholic. If you don't reach a certain score, you're not an alcoholic. So to someone that is suffering from addiction, guess what they're going to do? They're going to lie on those tests to themselves and to other people. The score's going to come out too low, and it's going to say, you're not an alcoholic. Well, guess what? It's a green light. It's a green light for them to carry on with that behaviour they've always had and say, actually, look, this says I'm not an alcoholic, so actually what I'm doing is fine. It's just wrong. So I think where I'm coming from with all this is it's dangerous to apply labels to people, because the danger is actually that somebody doesn't have the label of alcoholic, and so they don't seek help when they need to. And like I said, part of what I do and part of what I see is those people that are on that rocky road to being an addict in the depths of addiction. And if I can help them people break addiction before they go to their rock bottom, then I've done a good job, I feel. So I hope that made sense. It is a vlog, so it's off the cuff, but I kind of feel like it's a subject that needs airing. And I think if you're watching this and you are an addict, then please reach out and we can help you. I think if you're not an addict and you're watching this and you have a view of what an alcoholic is, I hope this has helped you change your perception slightly. Have a great weekend. It's Saturday here. Stay clean and sober, and I look forward to speaking to you again soon. Bye-bye.